How's it going, everybody? Great in here, Lastpackmagik podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. Today's episode, we're going to talk about Whatnot. Whatnot is an app where you can stream with breakers who are breaking boxes and participate by buying packs or boxes. We have the perfect guest for this today to enlighten us about all the details and questions that we have about it. I'm going to bring him into the chat right now. Ian, Cards and Metal.
Hey, what's happening?
What's going on, buddy?
Same old, same old. How are things?
Things are good. Really appreciate you joining the podcast today to talk about a topic I don't know very much about. I'm really looking forward to getting some knowledge about Whatnot.
Cool.
Can you give us a description of what is Whatnot?
Whatnot is, think of it like a collectibles QVC. If you guys remember what QVC is, but it's instantaneous. You get an app, you're able to basically, they sell anything you could possibly think of on there. Our corner of Whatnot is Marvel cards. Yep. Or any type of collectible cards. And it's pretty nice because you can go on there, you just put in your payment information and you instantaneous auctions, you get things at a great price, great people break boxes, they can share a box. It's a pretty cool community too.
Yeah, so people can buy packs, they can buy boxes, cases, whatever.
Yep, whatever somebody wants to put out there, you can buy it instantaneously.
That's really cool. I haven't ever participated in a break on Whatnot. I wanted to get some more information about it because I really want to be a part of one. I love watching them, and I love that there's a chat that goes on during it.
Yep. So it's kind of like any social media out there. So it's basically like social media mixed with QVC.
Is that the main platform that you use for your breaks?
It is, yeah. I actually started on Facebook.
Cool.
So started on Facebook, tried to manage that because nobody was doing them at the time. So someone suggested to go over to Instagram. So I went over to Instagram, and next thing I know, somebody was telling me to get onto this app called Whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. They said, I've been on there for a little over 2 years, almost 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
And back when it first started, they said it was like 6-month waiting period.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, better jump on that now because they're like, everybody was saying this is the new thing, this is the new thing. So I applied. In 24 hours, they said you're approved.
Well, they must have known who you were.
I don't know, because you had to put in all your social media accounts. Back then they went and checked, and so it was surprising. So I kind of got thrown in there, and they're like, "Well, your first show has to be within 2 weeks or something." So I'm like, "Whoa, okay," and off to the races.
That's awesome. You've been breaking Marvel a really long time. If I want to go out there and say that you were the first breaker publicly with Marvel boxes.
Specifically Marvel, yes. Nobody was doing it at the time, so
it's rare to get to meet the first guy. Like that's a big title to have in the hobby.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It was just I wasn't the only one who's been doing it. So I actually used to do Marvel breaks.
Yeah.
Back in 2014.
And what boxes were you opening then?
Retros and premieres.
And you opened a lot of it, I bet.
Lots of it, yes.
So you got to experience all of those incredible inserts that came with those sets.
Yep. I've ripped cases of 13, cases of 15 retro, cases of premiere, 2014 premiere.
The PMGs of those sets are just spectacular.
Yeah.
Were you breaking them and then selling them similar to how Whatnot works, or were you breaking them and then selling each card individually?
I was buying, so I wasn't the breaker back then.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So this is where I got the idea. There's an online, I think it probably still exists. It's called breakers.tv.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember how I even heard of this. I might have been through somebody on Blowout Cards Forum.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I used to be on there quite a bit trying to sell my own cards because I ripped Retro 13 before I got into all this stuff. Okay. And I was just trying to find out a way to sell it to and connect with other Marvel cards guys. So I got onto breakers.tv, and there was a card shop down in Florida that just happened to be doing Marvel.
Very cool.
So I started doing that. That's how I got a lot of 2015 retros. I mean, I pulled the Green Spider-Man 15 retro from that show, and I would just turn around and sell a lot of it on eBay. So I had an eBay account that you sell. And
Recently, you have started a consignment business where you're
correct.
helping. I'll ask you to. Can you inform us a bit more about that?
So the consignments, yeah, I wanted to break out into a way of being able to sell cards other than just Whatnot. Whatnot is extremely flooded with Marvel cards. I mean, if you go on there, there's 15, 20 people on there at a time, right? Any
Yeah.
time of the day, breaking Marvel, right? So I like to go on there and just do some boxes. I only go on there a couple of nights a week anymore. But I also wanted to figure out a way to get bigger cards to collectors rather than them searching through Facebook groups or hoping it pops up on eBay. And of course, there's always the targeting part of it, which people don't talk much about. I mean, like for example, if Sabretooth is your guy. Well, they know it's your guy, and if they know you're looking for a certain card,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna try to gouge you or whatever. Unfortunately, that's just the way it works, right?
That
So,
does happen. Yeah.
so if I can be in the middle of all that, and it's anonymous on both ends, buyer and seller, well, we can kind of get rid of that.
I think that's great. That's a great service to provide, especially for character collectors.
Yeah.
If people are interested in being a part of that and looking at some of the inventory that you have, where can people find you?
Right now it's going to be Instagram. My Instagram is going to be the main place that I put everything. You can sign up for my newsletter if you want to get information ahead of that, before it actually goes out public. And if you go to my Instagram, under my bio, I have all my links there. So
I'll
you can get
include your
signed up for the
Instagram.
newsletter.
I'll include your Instagram in the description of this video. So anyone looking for you or wants to get in touch with you about this stuff, the link will be in the description.
Cool. Yeah. I do have cardsofmetal.com in the works. So I do have that URL. It's just, I got to get it built out. So eventually I'll have cardsofmetal.com up and running.
Very cool. And you also have a YouTube channel.
I do. Yep. And it's very new. It was mainly a way that I was going to get my consignments out to the public. And that's what I've done, is done a few, just a couple videos on there, a couple things to announce that I was actually doing it. That's it.
And it's Cards of Metal on YouTube.
It is.
Yeah, I'll include that link down below too. Everybody, if you're watching this, please go over there and give a like and subscribe. I'm sure you're going to see some really cool stuff. It'll be a great channel to watch.
Cool.
So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Whatnot. So I have some questions when I see Whatnot. So I see people, they have a box and they're selling packs. What happens if half of the packs sell, but the other ones don't? Do you not open up the box?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's happened a few times. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but yeah, I won't open the box until, well, it depends. I go off the fly, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, yes, I got to sell all the packs out or the spots for the breakout before I actually open the box.
So with Whatnot, it seems like you need to have a decent following in order to be able to move enough boxes. Or can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a great community of people, of breakers on there, people that that sell boxes of whatever. So we all kind of feed off each other. We always they do a raid thing. So like if somebody's struggling and you have so many people in your show, you can actually bring everybody from your show over to their show.
Gotcha. I love that.
It's cool.
I see on your videos when you're doing box breaks, you'll do like a snake draw, and I have absolutely no idea what that means. Could you give us a little bit of a breakdown of what some of these draws are called and what they mean?
Yeah, so they're just fun ways of mixing up just getting a normal pack, right? And some of them, it makes it a lot easier for people to be able to get hits out of like for example, masterpieces.
Yeah.
We all know that's a very expensive box. I mean, it's a $850, $900 box of cards. So people that don't want to spend, a whole paycheck on one box of cards, it gives them a chance to be able to get into it. But at the same time, instead of just getting one pack, because we all know, I mean, having a base card pack and it costs now $100, $90 to $100 per pack, it kind of sucks.
It does.
So the snake draft makes it so if you get a certain spot, you open the box and it goes from start, you randomize the people's names, and in order they get to pick the cards out of the box rather than just random. So
Yeah. And so what is this? So there's all these different ones, like the snake draw. You roll the dice a couple of times and all that. Can you just quickly tell me what that is?
Yeah, so the snake, the reason they call it a snake is because it goes back, it goes down the list and then up the list. So it's just kind of this shape, whatever you want to call it. So it goes, for example, there's 12 packs in a box majority of the time. So we have 12 people that or 12 spots, and it starts from 1 to 12. People, you open the box, start off at 1, go down to 12, and then we go back from 12 back up to 1. And
Mhm.
what I've been doing is I do a double reverse, is what I call it. When I take 2 boxes, because getting the last spot, it sucks because you get the last pick. But if you reverse the order on the second box, use the same order, now all of a sudden first and last have the best spots, and that
I love
kind of
it.
narrows it down. So it just makes it, you have better odds that way of actually getting something worth your money.
Very cool. Um, well, we have you here. You've broken more boxes than a lot of people, and I see your videos of holding up the hits. I really like
Yeah.
those videos of getting to check out the stuff you've pulled. Out of masterpieces, can you tell us your top three pulls? I know they were for other people, but what were the top three cards you've got to hold in hand for masterpieces?
One was definitely the Wolverine cyan printing plate.
Yeah.
So it was the variant cover.
Wow.
That was definitely one of my favorite ones. Hitting probably a DeSanto sketch.
Wow. Which one did you pull? Which character?
Uh, was that? I can't even remember. That might have been Matt Premier too, actually.
It's all good if you don't
Was
remember.
I can't remember. Sometimes I forget who's which villain was out. So I've hit DeSantos, I've hit Glebes, I've hit Dave Palumbo's.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it was masterpieces that it was a Cyclops.
Very cool. Very cool. In the other boxes, so what if you remember way back to when you were pulling out the retro 13s? What was one of your top two favorite cards out of that set that you pulled?
Oh, Green Spider-Mans, Green PMGs.
Wow.
Yep. I had both
Um,
of those, 15 and 13.
what sits in your personal collection? Who do you collect? Do you collect a particular character?
It evolves a little bit, always changes depending on how much it's just going to cost my bank account. Spider-Man is who I collect,
Right on.
and so as you can see, it's kind of rough. That's one of the worst worst ones to PC. And
Yeah.
next would be Carnage.
Next would be Carnage. Very cool. Um, what was the first set that you collected as a younger person? I'm assuming you got into Marvel cards as a kid, like so many
Yep.
people our age. What was the first set that really spoke to you?
I would have to say it was 92 Universe.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's a,
it was definitely the 92 Universe. And then 94 Spider-Man's the one I can really remember pulling packs of because I was pretty young. But I just remember my grandma buying me a pack of Spider-Man, and my friends all had it, right? They're like, "Oh, these are so cool," and it was the webs, the acetate ones.
oh yeah, yeah, they're very cool.
Yep, my grandma bought me a pack, and I opened it, and I had a Doctor Octopus suspended animation in it. I was like, I think I was hooked.
It's interesting how those inserts from the '90s have really like stood the test of time. They're
Yeah,
still creating inserts based off of almost 40 years ago.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's
It's
wild.
just nostalgia.
On
Think
that on that topic, since you've been involved in the hobby for so long, how have you seen the hobby change in the last 4 years? What have been some of the biggest changes?
um, man, there's everything's changed.
Everything.
Prices to how many people are collecting, which often say it reflects on each other. But I think money
Yeah.
has changed it.
Has the hobby changed for the better with more people coming into it, or do you find that it's, as someone who's been in it a long time, that it's become less fun for you?
Um,
You can be
hard to,
honest.
it's hard to say. I think that it's good and bad.
Yeah. We
So
we can.
that's all I can really say is it's good. Certain aspects of it are great because there's just more people. It's easier to get a hold of certain cards, but then the money being involved in it has changed a lot of the way I personally collect.
I think a lot of people were shocked when they saw the price of MM22. of Marvel
Yeah.
Masterpieces. I think that for a lot of people was like, wow, okay, the game really is changing price
Yeah.
wise. And you see a lot of people breaking boxes online nonstop and all that, and it's like, wow, this is serious. It's I think that's something that's changed a lot in the hobby.
Yeah. It's become more than just a hobby. Like, I mean, it
Yeah,
was a hobby when you could buy a box of cards and put them in your binder and it's good. But now everything's got to be graded. Everything costs so much money. Hey, $150 a box. Like just a few years ago, I was buying 2020 masterpieces for $350, $400.
right. Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see when MM22 hits EPAC what the prices look like.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be changed too much.
I agree with you. I don't think it is either. We've been talking about Whatnot. Something, and your channel is called Cards of Metal. Something really unique about Whatnot that you don't get on YouTube is you're allowed to play your music in the
Yeah.
background. I love the music in the background in your videos. It's one of my favorite parts, actually, of watching your breaks.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. Yeah. When I was on Instagram, because I was on Instagram for a while doing breaks,
Yeah,
no music, copyrights. I mean, I had shows that would shut down in the middle of a live because of copyright infringements.
right.
So being able to have music on Whatnot is it makes the experience a lot better.
I agree with you completely. I know that a lot of people go to Whatnot partially for that reason, is that it's a bit looser on copyrights and things like that. It's fun when you're rocking out to some music, watching some cool cards get pulled.
Yeah,
Are you a musician yourself? You're part of the music
I
scene?
am
What
there for a long time. I thought that's what I was going to do for a living.
can you tell us a bit about that?
Um, yeah, I started playing guitar in high school, about 14, 15 years old, and just love it. I mean, I grew up listening to metal. Like heavy metal has been. I mean, some of my earliest memories are of my dad watching Headbangers Ball in the '80s.
Yeah.
So, and it just my whole entire life, I'm a huge Metallica fan. That was what got me into music and in general. Just wanted to play their songs because I loved it so much. And just throughout my entire life, even in adulthood, I mean, I was in bands. I was in a band probably 6, 7 years ago. And we used to do shows here.
That's awesome. Did you guys record anything? Did you have a tape or an album?
No, nothing like official.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard, especially in Utah.
Yeah.
So you can imagine being a heavy metal musician is not the easiest thing. But
Right.
so recording was always small stints of being in a band, right? The band will only be together for like 5, 6 months and get to a point where we want to record and life happens, whatever.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things about metal. I know we were here to talk about Whatnot, but we got to talk about this. One of my one of my favorite things about metal music are battle vests. Please tell me at some point in your life you had a battle vest.
What is it?
The battle vest with the patches from the concerts on like a jean.
Oh yeah, I never got into that. I was always the one that never fell into the goth movement or like any of the trends.
Gotcha.
I always kicked against that for some reason. Just never got into it.
I have a battle vest that is littered with patches, and I
That's
absolutely,
awesome, man.
yeah, absolutely love it. It was a hobby within a hobby, just making that thing over the years.
Nice. So was it was it heavy metal or punk or
Well, for me, it actually wasn't even bands. It was other hobbies that I was involved in. I spent a lot of time on the railroad, so I like really nerded out with the railroad, and I skateboarded a lot. So all my favorite skateboarding shops
skateboard?
and tattoo shops all had patches. So over the years,
Cool.
I've covered this thing up and pulled patches off, put new ones on, and kind of copied the idea from the metal community. To be honest with you,
That's cool, man. But
yeah,
yeah, that's where the Cards of Metal came from. It was everything from being a musician and liking heavy metal to the metal cards themselves, 95 metal. You can see my logo it looks like it. It's kind of a play off that.
I love it. I mean, it's a great play on it too, because the Marvel Metal set that came out in '95 was incredible.
Yeah. Well, and it really came from the whole idea came from when I sold the Spider-Man green.
Okay.
So I had the full rainbow of all the Spider-Man PMGs from 2013 and 2015,
Wow.
including the 101. gold
Wow.
PMG. Yeah, so I sold it off. Um, I was planning on getting a home, as that was the idea, was to buy a house with it, right? Because
Yeah.
they sold for, and they broke all the records, and I think that changed quite a bit, changed up the hobby quite a bit just from that alone. Because now people saw that Marvel cards were actually worth something,
No
not
kidding.
just a little bit of money. So I had a bunch of money, and this was 20. This is right before the pandemic,
Hmm.
right? So everything, or right in the middle of the pandemic, actually, is when it was, and it was hard to get into a home. Like prices were skyrocketing, So I was like, okay, I can't. I'm going to wait for this, right? So I held back, and I'm like, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with this extra money? Well, I'm going to put it back into Marvel cards.
Cool. It's interesting in the hobby how patience always seems to pay. Um, you know, patience is just one of those things that I think all of the hobby enthusiasts are learning about or should be learning about.
I think so too. And that's why I stay away from the Facebook group a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, there's so many people in there, right? And there's so many other great people there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of drama,
Yes, there
and
is.
and there's people that are always complaining about prices,
Yeah.
right? And that patient, going back to the patience thing, people are just impatient. They think that because the box of cards costs $900, that all of a sudden the cards in it should all be worth a ton of money,
Right.
and they're complaining about why it's not. It's like, well, you can't just open a box of cards and all of a sudden everything's worth as much money as you paid.
Yeah.
It's an investment. You gotta wait.
Right.
I can't tell you how many green PMGs from 13 Retro I sold for less than $200.
Wow. At a different, what year are we talking here?
2015, around there.
And so, I mean, like you were saying, how the hobby's changed in the last 4 years. How has the hobby changed in the last 10 years from someone who's been around a long time?
Oh, it's drastic. I
It's
mean,
unrecognizable.
yeah, it's not even the same anymore.
If we'd have told you back then that this is what it was going to be like today, would you have believed whoever told you?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of saw things in 2016 when e-packs came out.
Yeah.
That was when breakers, not the other breakers that I was participating in on breakers.tv, they were getting kind of scared, that was going to change, and I think that's why a lot of people stopped it, because there were Marvel breakers.
Right.
I mean, they did sports and everything, but they just disappeared once e-pack hit.
Right. EPAC changed a lot of stuff. I'm one of my favorite parts of kind of Marvel is finding the breaking channels. I like using EPAC. I like buying like a pack here and there and ripping it and trading. But for people that want to see these boxes get opened and just witness it, the breaking channels on Whatnot are absolutely perfect for it.
Yeah,
Other than
I
your
mean,
channel on Whatnot, who do you like to watch on Whatnot?
who are my favorite breakers?
Yeah, who's your favorite breakers?
There's there's several. I don't want to not. I don't want to leave somebody out.
Just tell us one. So to avoid leaving anybody out, just tell us one.
I like Gray Malkin.
Okay, we'll check
Malkin
it out.
Gaming is that what it is? Yeah, Gray Malkin Gaming.
All right, I'm gonna check it out.
Sorry,
Everybody,
Gray, if I butchered that, man.
I'll find it and I'll include the link down there too.
Yeah,
I have favorite breakers, and like I love watching the Spidey Hits channel. I love watching Lewis Alonso break boxes. I love watching your channel and watch you break boxes, and it's wicked breaking being able to watch people break boxes. If
yeah,
people have an issue with the prices of the boxes themselves, you can still participate in the hobby and not spend a cent. You can go on
that's right.
YouTube and on Whatnot, and you can watch all the videos you want. It won't cost you a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. All great guys too. You know, Justin, Spidey Hits, Lewis. These guys are awesome. I love watching their shows too.
Yeah,
Um, and just going into, like you're saying, just watch. I know there's a lot of people that just come in and just watch, and don't buy anything, and that's fine. You don't have to be obligated to buy anything.
right.
And I don't think any of the myself and all the other breakers, no one ever like we don't encourage you to buy. Like you don't have to buy. You can just hang out and be there and chat, talk with everybody, just hang out.
I love the chats. I really enjoy the chat. I love that you acknowledge the people in the chats too, like as you're talking away with everyone. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, get to know people. It's
Yeah.
weird because I see their name and I talk to them all the time, but I don't ever see their faces
That's
or even
right.
hear their voices. I just their name and they type and
You're kind of one of
talk.
those people, everybody knows your voice and sees your hands, but you don't always get to see you.
Yeah, I I've done it a couple of times where I'll flip the camera around and whatnot, and they're like, "Oh, that's what you look like." And I'm like, "I guess I need to be on YouTube or something more."
Yeah. One of the funny things in the age of where like cable television is kind of gone, we have streaming services and with YouTube and whatnot and all this. When you have like a very niche hobby like ours, and you want to spend your streaming time watching that, you can. So in a way, these channels kind of become people's cable. They come their Friday night cable movie or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, that's changed too, right? So I guess that's part of the why the hobbies flourish too is that we don't have TV. we don't
Yeah,
we don't have cable.
right. We really appreciate you answering our whatnot questions here on the podcast today. Is there anything
Yeah,
else
man.
that you want to shout out there about any projects you have coming up or what's going on with you?
No, if you just sign up for my newsletter, you'll get emails for cards you might like and might want. Check me out on whatnot.
Yeah, right on.
I'm trying to do more stuff on YouTube, possibly breaks on there too.
Yeah,
I just want to get some time, and I'm trying to get back to Instagram as well.
cool.
Uh,
You're a busy guy. It's all in good time, I'm sure.
yeah, it's between this and work, it is tough.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to breaking a box with you one day. I'd really like to do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. When I get where I can.
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah, it's been an interesting week. This is the wrong week to not have a block.
Yeah. Well, all in good time. Like you were saying with the patients, neither of us are going anywhere. So, really looking forward to making that happen at some point. Really appreciate you coming on to the stream and giving our viewers some answers about whatnot.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's my pleasure. It's always good to come and hang out. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't be on YouTube for the next little while. So I appreciate it.
There you go. Well, we'll make sure we have a link to your channel. Everybody get over there and subscribe to Cards of Metal, and we'll keep making some fun videos with people in the community.
Awesome. Hey, man, appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ian.
Yep.
Take care, everybody.